Come here.
You can be in the
Come
video,
on.
Sadie.
Sweater vest and all.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to be sharing our birth story. So fun fact.
Not the details of the birth, but like the events leading up to labor and all of that. It was interesting for sure.
Yeah, very, very interesting. We have a 2-month-old, our little Remy Monet West. We're so excited, so she'll be making a lot of appearances on here. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, notifications, all the little buttons kind of thing. But you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so leading up to actually giving birth, I had been in pre-labor for 2 weeks, which was the most miserable thing ever. I was having like these contractions that we thought was actual labor, and then they would just go away after 4 hours. It was literally the worst kind of thing. So
Bad for her meant bad for me.
yeah. So 'twas the night of the election, and we had stayed up late. I was 39 weeks at this point, and I had just like given up. I thought that Remy was gonna stay inside me forever, and I was just gonna be pregnant forever.
Well, the due date was like the 9th, so the end was in sight, but at 39 weeks,
I was over
it
it.
was very much done being pregnant, and hence the exhaustion and all of that. But yeah, so we stayed up late, probably till about 11:30, watching the election results and just some of it. We decided, okay,
It's a Tuesday night.
it's probably time to go to bed. It's
Yeah,
getting
like
late.
nothing is happening. I'm still pregnant.
And we're like, hey,
so
we'll sleep in, you know, like it's all good.
no worries.
I got
What's the
work at
rush?
like 8, which for me, definitely sleeping in all the way until like 7 o'clock, which doesn't sound like a lot, but to people who get up early for work, 7 a.m., that's a good amount of sleep. Even if it's like 11 p.m.
Especially when your
work
work is a walk to your office. at
Yeah,
home.
working remote currently, so you know, not a lot of prep involved to get ready for work.
So we go to bed, I'm still pregnant, and I wake up around 1 o'clock and I'm like, oh, like that was a contraction. And then my first thought, I was just so mad. I was like, are you kidding me? Like another contraction at 1 a.m. Like when is this ever gonna actually happen? And they have been like pretty intense. Like I know that there's Braxton Hicks, but these contractions that I was having for the past 2 weeks, they would like hurt. I was like, wow, like these are real contractions. And so when this woke me up at 1 o'clock, I was just so mad. So
Before, she's also mad because we had I think 2 nights before, we thought that it was happening. Like very structured, time ticking down of the contractions, and they were getting stronger, and so we're like, okay, like this is it. So it was probably again around a midnight run to the hospital, and we got all the way there. We sat in the parking lot, and we're like, let's make sure like you feel like you're ready to go. And then by the time we actually got to the hospital and sat in the parking lot, the contractions stopped. So
I was so mad again.
We knew that it was like false labor, and she wasn't having the actual baby. It was just some really intense Braxton Hicks. And so she was extra upset because she thought that whole cycle was happening again. But
so then I get up and I was like, oh, I have to pee again, because when you're 39 weeks pregnant, you basically just have to pee all the time.
baby's just sitting on the bladder the entire time.
She was so low, literally so low. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, and then I come back in bed and I was like, did I just pee myself again? And I was like, well, maybe I did, I don't know. So
Over it.
yeah, I was like, I'm over it. I'm not having this baby ever. So I roll over, and then another contraction happened. I was like, wait, like that one was pretty strong. So then I roll over and I was like, I might as well just time these to see, you know, what they are. And literally it went like 10, 9, 8, and I was like, oh my gosh. And they were getting like stronger and stronger and stronger. So I like reach over to Connor, he's passed out. We've only gotten like an hour, maybe 2 hours of sleep at this point.
Yeah, about an hour and a half.
It's like 1:30, and so I roll over and I was like, Connor. And I was like, I think it's happening. And I'm like scared at this point of like, oh my gosh, wait, I really think this is happening. And he goes, are you serious? And he goes from like dead asleep to like wide awake of like, oh my gosh, I'm scared for my life, somebody's breaking into the house.
All the adrenaline gets pumped.
Back to like level 2 of like, are you okay? What do we need to do? I am super calm. And then leaves and goes to the bathroom. And I was like,
leaves as in like walks 6 feet into the master bathroom.
yeah,
So she can see me
like,
the whole time.
here's the deal. These contractions are getting like stronger, and I'm like, wait, you were supposed to hold my hand through all
I had
this.
a list of things that needed to get done immediately in order to make this a operational success going into the hospital.
I'm literally in bed having like the most intense contraction that I've had thus far, and then I hear, I'm like, are you kidding me? He is shaving right now.
Yes, but
Like he got up, left me to go pamper himself in the bathroom.
yeah, that's what her thought process was. My thought process was I was rocking a bodacious, righteous mustache with my beautiful long golden locks at the time. I had really long hair, and I knew that if I had gone to the hospital rocking this stash, and then
There was no shave November.
yeah,
We started
I was
early.
rocking it, you know. Well, no, it was the 3rd, so I was in. Yeah, I guess I started a little bit early. Anyway, regardless, I knew that if I had a mustache in our first photos with this baby, Rochelle was going to murder me later on. So logically, I was like, first things first, I gotta get rid of this sucker so that she doesn't hate me later, because we are, you know, this is end goal here. Happy wife, happy life. She's about to have a baby. Tensions are high. I didn't want my mustache to be the trigger that like set off the wife nuke. Okay, so first priority, got that sucker. First priority, she was fine. She was in pain, but she was okay. Nothing major outside of the contraction happening. So I was like, I gotta get this off, shaved it, then made sure, I mean, the car was already packed, so that was nice. It was mostly
Because we had just gone to the hospital thinking
so we
that
just left it. We just left it all packed, which is kind of convenient. We grabbed the last few things like her exercise ball and all that stuff, and really just kind of threw her in the car, and we were on the way.
No, so it's like going 10, 9, 8. It's like literally 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought they were supposed to last a lot longer. So I walk into the kitchen and because I didn't eat before I went to bed because I was like, it's fine, I'm not going into labor. And I was like, I need to make a sandwich. They always say eat before you go to the hospital because you're not gonna be able to eat anything. And I was like, man, I'm starving.
No, they say don't eat.
And I was like, I need to make a sandwich. I'm so hungry.
So again, she's doing great because she's reacting in the moment needs, right? She's not really planning ahead. I am, again, operational success. I'm thinking she will straight up poop herself on the table while having a baby. If she eats the sandwich right now, she'll be embarrassed. Maybe, I don't know. This is our first baby, so I don't know how it's all gonna go. You only hear the horror stories. So I was like, okay, I'm not letting her poop on the table. Like, I'm being a good husband.
I'm like, I don't effing
by
care
denying
about
her this sandwich so that she doesn't have an explosion of galore out on the table along with the baby. You know what? I think it worked out well because that was avoided, thankfully. However, she was very hungry.
I was starving.
She had lots of ice chips.
We're not there yet.
And water.
So
she did not starve.
we go to the hospital, and they're like at this point like at 4 and 3 minutes apart, and it's like, oh my gosh, am I gonna have this baby in like 30 minutes? Like, we don't know, kind of thing. And so we get to the hospital, and it's like, oh, hold on, we gotta pause, like can't walk, kind of thing. We finally make it in, and it was around like what, 2:30 at this point.
Yeah,
They like probably make it to the hospital. We go to the ER, and we get checked in and everything, and then we go up to like the room, and they go, we don't really know if you're in labor.
So, I mean, without going into great detail, she wasn't fully dilated or anything like that. So they were like, okay, I mean, what you're telling us is the contractions are happening very quickly. We'll get you strapped up and do all these tests, but we really don't think that you're quite at that point. You may be in labor, but not like active go labor. So there's a chance that we got sent home. Well,
Could you imagine? I am so upset at this point.
and I'm like, I'm just glad we're here regardless. I just want to make sure everything's okay. If we end up going home, we end up going home. It's fine.
But at this point, their contractions were like the strongest they had ever been, and I was like, I don't know if I can wait at home with these intense contractions.
Yeah, I mean, we got, everyone has their own opinion. Some say wait at home as long as you can because it's the comforts of home. Some say just go ahead and go
So you can
you're
eat
there.
a sandwich.
so you can eat a sandwich or not, so you don't poop on the table. You're welcome. So anyway, they do all the tests. It's great. We wait.
Oh, I tell them. I'm like, okay, like I know my contractions aren't like as consistent as I wanted them. I was like, I think my water broke. And Connor goes.
She did not think her water broke. She thought she might have peed herself. That's how she said it. She didn't say, I think my water broke. I think the nurse was trying to read between the lines because I think my water broke was never a sentence that was stated. It was, I think I peed myself a little bit, but I'm not sure.
Like again right now, but I'm really not sure what's going on.
Again, she was like, okay, well, you know, like it happens. You know, we'll check. But like when they asked us if her water broke, we were kind of like, I don't think so. No, because you know, you think like in a movie, like it's a wet mop floor, and like you don't walk because you're gonna do a backflip like a banana peel because water broke everywhere. Like you know when the water broke, but not the case. It can be like a little trickle. So there you go. Fun fact. If you didn't know, if you pee yourself, it may not be pee. Fast forward.
So fast forward, we're just like waiting in this room for.
It's probably it's been like 2 hours at this point. So it's about almost 5 a.m. and like she's still in pain. Like these are regular contractions, and they have her strapped up so I can see them like coming, spiking, and going down. Of course, my hand is getting bloodied in the process. Small price to pay. I'm not complaining. Just saying that, dudes, that part is just like the movies.
Because at this point, we hadn't been checked into the hospital, so they couldn't give you anything because they don't know if you're staying or not.
Right. So we didn't have any serious meds or anything, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
Like we also, our mentality going into it was we're gonna try to do it natural, and we'll see how it all goes. All that to say,
we had an ABC plan.
About 2 hours pass, and finally the nurse comes in and she's doing some routine stuff. She adds like a IV drip and starts like hooking her up to a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, oh, by the way, like you tested positive. And we were like, for COVID?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, there was an amniotic fluid in the test, so your water did break, and so you are in labor. Congrats. And like, now, granted, this is 4:30 or so in the morning. This nurse is probably like at the end of her night shift.
Yeah.
So she's exhausted. They apparently have had a lot of babies come through, or pregnant women come through that night. We were like number 3. So totally understand her being exhausted, and maybe it just like wasn't the first thing on her mind to come tell us. But we had no idea up to this point that the water had actually broke. So this was the first confirmation that, wow, it is actually happening.
We made it.
We made it.
Yeah. And then side note with COVID, like I did have to get tested. However, he didn't, and I was so mad. I was like, I mean, so
totally
much
fine.
pain.
I was totally fine getting tested if they wanted to, but they were like, oh no, like, you know, just keep your mask on and we'll just test her. I was like, cool. So I just sat back in the corner.
So I tested negative and I like ripped my mask off. I was like, I'm clear. I had to do a test.
She kept it on for most of the time, but not until like actual delivery. She was like, screw this, I'm not trying to labor through a mask. So
yeah,
that's a little bit.
So we like finally get checked in. We're like, oh my gosh, like we're really having a baby. And I'm like still having contractions. And then at this point.
Well, hold on.